Today we're going to be making a simple one-handed sword, kind of like this. This is a sword that can be used in most fight groups out there. It's very simple to use, and I'm going to show you just one of the ways to make using a PVC pipe. If your group already has a specific way on how they want to make their weapons, then by all means definitely go with their way of making it. But if you're just starting out and you have no idea what to do, then you can follow this tutorial and I will go ahead and show you how I make a simple one-handed sword out of fairly cheap and common materials. Okay? The first thing you want to do is get all your materials together, and we're going to go ahead and go over that. Okay, the first item that you'll need is the actual weapon's core. In this case, the PVC pipe. I have here an 1/2 inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe, which I've cut into 31 inches. The 1/2 inch refers to the actual inside of the pipe. The actual pipe itself is about 1 inch thick. So this is going to be a one-handed sword, so I've actually cut out 31 inches of the pipe. The actual sword itself will probably be about 33 inches. Your mileage may vary depending on how long you want to make your weapon. So that's item number one. The second thing that we'll need is the actual foam itself. In this case, we'll be using a camp pad that you get from Walmart. It's called the Ozark Trail Camping Pad. This is commonly referred to as simple blue foam. There are many other camp pads out there, many different kind of foam. You can experiment with those if you want, but for now we're just going to go with a very simple build, and that is using these kind of rules. They used to be $5, but it actually went up. It's now about $7.50. Okay, and now we need to talk about the glue. This is the glue that we most commonly use. It's called DAP Contact Cement. Okay, it comes in two different varieties. There's the green can and the red can. We need to get the red can because the green can dries too slowly and will not actually be beneficial for what we're trying to do. So one more time, it's DAP Wellwood Contact Cement. You can get the red can at Lowe's and possibly Ace as well. Maybe other hardware stores, depending on where you live. You'll have to take a look. But again, get the red can. Do not get the green can because the green can just will not dry fast enough. Okay. Then obviously we'll need our duct tape, very useful. And we'll also want to get some double-sided tape that you can get from Walmart. This is the double-sided carpet tape used for putting together carpets. Maybe optional, but really, really useful to have. Okay, I'll be bringing up more materials as the tutorial goes on, but for now, these are the primary things that we're going to work with. Alright, so before we get started on actual making the weapon, we'll need to go ahead and prepare our rod. And by that, I mean I drew out a couple lines where my hands is going to be. Depending on where you feel is comfortable, the distance might be different and the placement might be a little bit different. But for me, this is where I'm most comfortable at. So the blade is going to be from here to here, and I left some room at the end for my pommel. You'll also notice here that I got some tape at the end of my pipe. Now the reason for that is I actually have to go ahead and make sure both ends of the pipe are safe. And by that, I mean I cut out two little pieces of out of cardboard like this, and I'm just going to go ahead and tape them on the end of my PVC pipe to make sure that after you make the weapon, the foam doesn't actually get ripped up by the PVC pipe, resulting in a pretty gnarly accident. That's never happened before, but this is why we're taking precaution to make sure that something like that will not happen. So hopefully these two cardboard discs is going to prevent the pipe from actually ripping through the foam, and instead of getting hit in the face with the foam, you end up getting your eyes poked out with the PVC pipe. Not very fun. Okay, so now we got both ends of our pipe completely prepared. The drawings are marked. It's time to get started. Alright, so before we can get started on actual making the weapon, we need to go ahead and determine how long the weapon is going to be. For me, the blade is going to be 24 inches long. So what I did is I go ahead and laid my PVC pipe on the foam itself, and you can see that at the very end I left 1 inch of space after the PVC pipe for an extra room. So what I did is I drew a rectangle of 24 inches long and 2 inches wide. You want to make sure that the line is completely straight. You don't want to be too much off. It doesn't have to be completely exact, but the closer you are to the actual dimensions, the better you're going to be. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and make 4 of those rectangles. So right now I have 3, so that means I have to draw 1 more. Lucky for me, the ruler that I'm working with right now is exactly 2 inches wide and 24 inches long. So what I'm doing is I'm basically making 4 copies of my ruler. You'll find out why we need 4 in a minute, but for now, just go ahead and copy 4 of these rectangles and cut them out. So you can see from the animation, you'll get a better idea of what we're doing. We have 3 stacks of foam together with hollowed out center. Here comes the pipe. It's going to glue right in the center, and finally the top layer is going to come and make the basic shape of the sword. Okay, now that I cut out 4 of these rectangular pieces, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and glue 2 of them together on top of one another. The reason why I want to glue them on top of each other is because each of these pieces are about ½ an inch thick. So 2 of these pieces on top of one another will actually be about the thickness of the PVC pipe. Again, all of these steps will become clear in a moment, but I have to go ahead and start gluing. If you've never used DAP before, this is actually a very different kind of glue than what you've ever used. In order to use DAP, well, first of all, you want to go ahead and use it in a nice open air environment because the DAP can really smell bad. So for the good of your lungs, do it in a garage where the doors are wide open. But let's get started. In order for DAP to actually work, what you'll need to do is you'll actually need to go ahead and DAP both sides of the gluing surfaces. That means I have to DAP this side and this side. After you DAP, you'll have to go ahead and let both sides sit for about 20 minutes to 30 minutes in order for it to get dry. In order for you to see if it's dry or not, touch the DAP just a little bit. If it gets tacky, that means it's ready to go. But you cannot glue them on until both sides are dried. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use these throwaway brushes, and I'm going to go ahead and simply go down on these rectangular pieces and just put some glue on both sides of them. I'll let it sit for 20 minutes, then I'll go ahead and glue them together. Alright, so I waited 20 minutes now for the DAP to dry. I've touched the surfaces slightly and I have not gotten DAP all over my hand. That means it's ready to glue. So the way I do it is I basically just take both of the surfaces that got DAP on them, glue them together. You really only have one shot at this. Once the DAP is actually ready to bond, it bonds really strongly and really quickly. So if you mess up or it's off, then that's it. You probably won't have a second chance at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and match up the corners, and I am just going to glue the 2 surfaces together like so. Okay, so basically it's not too bad. Basically what we have now is 2 pieces of the rectangles have been glued together, and we have 2 pieces that are on their own. So this next part is going to take a little bit of time because we have to go ahead and wait for the glue to dry. I actually recommend waiting 24 hours before we get back to this project. That way we can make sure that this part has dried before we continue to the next portion. Okay, so let's go ahead and wait 24 hours and we'll just pick this right back up.